Hi everyone, it's Sydney. This is going to be my reading log for October of this year, 2023. Late happy Halloween. It's going to be Thanksgiving time roughly when I upload this, so happy Turkey Day. I am going to go ahead and start with things that released this month. So I'm starting with Kodansha. I have Twilight Out of Focus 3. This is the third volume in the BL series focusing on a um, somebody who's acting and somebody who's in a film club and their romance and relationship between each other. There's also some spin-off romances. I enjoyed this a decent amount. It's pretty good BL. I'm not much into filmmaking, but I still enjoyed it despite that, so that's probably a good sign that the writing's pretty decent. Um, the art is just really pretty on the covers. It's a nice standout on the shelves, even if it has a white spine. We also have the debut volume of Witch Hat Atelier Kitchen. This is a cooking spin-off of the popular Witch Hat Atelier series. I enjoyed this. It was a fun little cooking, not really a lot of depth to it, not a lot of some character exploration, mostly between the teachers and a little bit the students. It's a good read if you enjoyed the original series. Maybe you'd be able to get into it if you haven't read the original series, but I don't know. I wouldn't know that. Speaking of Witch Hat, we also have Witch Hat Atelier Volume. I think this is 11, yes. Um, we have some conspiracy going on in this volume that's starting to develop and bloom into something big, which is really exciting to read about. It's still a great read, continuously been good since the beginning, and I'm happy that I think it's getting an anime. I really don't remember, but if it does, I'm hoping it really helps boost the popularity over here. Then we have Wisteria Wand and Sword, Volume 6. I was not a fan of the plot developments in this volume. They did something that I really did not like. I do want to talk about it, so some spoilers if you're not interested in hearing them. It seems like they killed the character who is gay, or at least has some attraction towards the male lead, so I'm worried that it's going to be some burying your gays stuff, and that's not fun if it is. I don't know yet. We will see. Hopefully it's not that, but yeah. Then we have another debut volume. This is Super Morningstar Volume 1. This is a BL about a guy who secretly works as a Super Sentai actor and his classmate who finds out about it and then developing a relationship. This did really feel like a one-shot and not the start of a series, but apparently I've heard people also share that sentiment online. It does seem to wrap up pretty well in the first volume, so I really don't know what they're going to do for the next ones. I'm still kind of interested, but it was mostly for my partner, though he didn't actually like it that much. Then we have Rent a Girlfriend, Volume 21. Despite all the hate, I do still enjoy Rent a Girlfriend. I don't really remember too much. Oh, yes, we had some big stuff happen in this volume, but it doesn't seem like it's going to move the plot that much forward because, from what I've heard, it just kind of keeps chugging along slowly, especially past the movie arc. So I am wondering what's going to happen, if much is going to happen in the next few volumes. Then we have the debut volume of Nina the Starry Bride. This was a fun little shoujo um, about a girl who is basically having to assume the role of a princess who disappeared or died. I can't remember exactly. I'm gonna give this a few more volumes to grow on me before I really form an opinion on it. We're just getting set up in this volume, so there's not too much plot development yet. Ignore that. So next, I'm going to jump into let's do Seven Seas. First of all, we have the debut volume of the villainess who has been killed 108 times. She remembers everything. This is a nice villainess series. Got a lot of time loops and time travel shenanigans going on in it. When I say time travel, I mean linear time travel, not being able to jump back and forth between multiple points in time. So it's an interesting twist on the villainess genre. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it pretty decently so far. It's a villainess, so I'm already biased towards it. But it's also good that it has some interesting twists on the tropes. Then we have Night of the Living Cat, Volume 3. I am not really a huge fan of this series. I heard that the first volume was good, but I just never really got that much into it. So I'm just kind of reading it just because I've started getting interested in the story, but not like really, really excited for the story either. Basically a world where instead of zombies, it's cats, and everybody loves cats, and they have to resist petting them, and if they touch them, they turn into cats. Uh, in this volume, where you actually reach a group of people who they are all hiding together, and we get to kind of learn about this new area that the main character ends up going to. Then we have Momo the Blood Taker, Volume 6. I'm really losing interest in this series pretty fast. These last couple volumes, something major was taken care of, and now we're moving to a different plot point. But there's a lot of characters that feel kind of gross and just make me uncomfortable to read about. I don't want to talk too much about it. When we can talk about Kageki Shoujo Volume 10, which is still probably my favorite shoujo slash josei, or shoujo slash seinen. I know it had a weird jump between two very different demographics. This volume we're getting more on these two as second years because they finally moved up to the next class, and we're getting them basically getting ready for their first performance as second years, assuming the roles, learning who's going to be what. Great series, recommended wholeheartedly. We also have Cinderella Closet Volume 3. This is another one that I was good on at first, but I'm kind of losing interest in because I was interested because it's like, oh, an androgynous boy who dresses as a girl, identifies as a boy, I think. Pretty sure that's what it is. Helps this kind of standard, normal-looking girl stand out by helping her with her makeup skills. But it does seem like it might be developing in a relationship between the two of them, and that's really not what I was looking forward to with this series. So I'm going to keep reading it. It's not too long, but I'm not as super invested into it right now. Then we have A Stepmother's Marchen, Volume 1. This is a great, I want to say villainess. I think it's a villainess. About somebody she's a stepmother, reincarnated into the role of a stepmother character. I don't know if this is reincarnation or it's... Okay, no, she died and then went back to her previous years, and she's reliving past events to try and make things better and trying to rekindle bonds between her family. It's really fun, really good reincarnation story. I would say this falls under the villainess genre, but it's very pretty and a very good story so far. I'm really enjoying it, even though I always enjoy villainess series. It's one of the standouts. Then we have Polar Bear Cafe Volume 3. I believe this volume had otters. I don't remember. I need to just bookmark every series that has otters because I love them, as you can tell. Just a cute series about anthropomorphic animals. One of them runs a cafe and the other one works at a zoo. Of course, there are other side characters as well. Just a cute, lighthearted slice of life. Nothing too deep. Then we have Gap Papa Volume 3. I enjoy this more than the first volume for sure. The first volume left me with a sour taste in my mouth. The second and third have been pretty good. Pretty lighthearted, cute, like, oh, he's really loving at home but really serious at work. The Gap Moe, which is why it's called Gap Papa. So it's alright so far. Still overpriced in my opinion for what you get. Then we have the semi-vinyl volume of The Dragon King's Imperial Wrath, Falling in Love with the Bookish Princess of the Rat Clan. This is volume 2. It's a 3-volume series apparently, which is pretty sad because there's a lot of really interesting developments with political situation going on, the different clans, how they work with each other. We're actually developing more of the characters in this volume. I am really enjoying it. I'm looking forward to reading more of it. So next I'm going to be covering the Yen Press releases. Oh, my ear is bent. I wonder how long it's been like that. A little painful. We'll work with it. So first of all, we have The Princess of Convenient Plot Devices 3. Series about a girl reincarnated into a world of mainly BL couples. There's some really interesting lore about the reincarnation in this volume that's really making me want to recommend this to people who don't normally read villainess series. Because is she a villainess? No, I think it's just a fantasy. I don't think it's a villainess. It's an isekai, but I don't think it's villainess. I don't remember. It's great, though. Recommended wholeheartedly. Just like I recommend Shy. I think it's getting an anime next year, beginning of the winter season. It's really fun so far. A lot of plot development in this volume, a lot of really meaningful character moments. It's a great series about a shy superhero learning to overcome her shyness and embrace her strength and meet friends and make friends along the way. That's sort of like typical shonen beats, but it's a pretty good superhero series. Then we have The Dwarven Damsel Conquers the Dragon Emperor. This one, I am really not a fan of the age gap jokes and the big age gap between the two of the leads. Um, I'm still interested enough to keep reading. I don't know. It's developing some interest or mystery, and I want to see where it resolves from. Not surprised to hear this is a shonen. That type of like the drastic age gap and the jokes about it tend to be very shonen instead of shoujo. At least from my experience. Then we have The Dark History of the Reincarnated Villainess, Volume 8. The art in this one's very hit or miss in this whole series. It's a lot of times it's pretty difficult to tell what's going on, but then other times you have like this beautiful cover art that's just absolutely gorgeous. You block I don't know how to block glare. There's some glare on this. I'm interested in it, seeing what in the world's going to go on next. It's a Villainess series, so I'm going to keep reading it, but I wouldn't fully recommend it to everybody. It's a series with a girl reincarnated into basically a self-insert story she wrote when she was, I think, middle school, high school, about her becoming like this princess that's loved by everybody, and she's instead reincarnated into the villainess role. Anyways, then we have Tokyo Babylon Volume 1. I really love this series so far. It's my first clamp that I've actually read, I think. I might be wrong, but I think it's the first clamp I've read. Basically set in Tokyo with I don't remember the exact premise. I think it's exorcisms or exorcists. Like the main character's an exorcist, and the other girl, I don't remember what she does, but she's there. Then there's an older man who is kind of maybe gonna end up marrying the main lead, the male lead, which is interesting. Age gap, but I don't know. I feel like it's less gross to me than some of the other age gaps I've seen. Maybe because it's a late teenager instead of like a 10-year-old. But yeah, this was good. I heard somebody else mention it, and I agree that the other male lead has yaoi shoulders, which are just like built like Kanye West in that music video from ages ago. I don't remember the name of it. Then we have The Summer Hikaru Died Volume 2. This is continuing to be a fantastic series about a boy who disappears one day and comes back it's not actually him, it's some sort of monster that took his place, and the budding relationship between the main lead and Hikaru. Talking more about it would spoil things, but it's good. It's really good so far. Then we have Minato's Laundromat. This is another age gap that just kind of felt icky to me. It's weird what does and what doesn't feel icky. I think when they acknowledge it and continue going forward with it. But it does at least seem like the main character is very aware of his age difference with with the young boy. I say young, he's in his like late teens, I think. And he's trying to like push him away, so I don't know what's going to happen. I assume they're probably going to end up together, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I'm still interested enough to keep reading. And then we have Kowloon Generic Romance Volume 5. I am still continuing to enjoy this series. Very beautiful, a lot of mystery building ups. I can't really talk too much about it, though. It's better to read it blind. I did read one critique that I do kind of agree with, that it does feel like nothing happens for a while, then at the very end of each volume they have like a cliffhanger, and then you have to wait until the next one to figure out what's happening. But I still love it. Then we have Coffee Moon Volume 4. This series is really turning into something completely different than it started as. I don't hate it, but I'm a little weirded out by it, and it's also just getting so confusing to wrap my head around what exactly is going on anymore. It seems like it's becoming a magical girl series, which is not what I signed up for. Then we have Bocchi the Rock Volume 1. This is a 4-coma, I think, yes. The original series was a 4-coma, much like Lucky Star and not Nishijo, I think just Lucky Star. I think Lucky Star's a 4-panel 4-coma, I can't remember. About a young girl with very, 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 very bad social anxiety who's extremely skilled at playing the guitar, and her joining a band and growing out of her shell and trying to grow out of her social anxiety. It was a hit anime. I'd be surprised if some people haven't really heard of it if they're in this sphere of content. The manga was good. It does have some things the anime skipped over. Next, we have what I probably got the most from, what I read the most this month probably is Viz. So I'm going to start with a shoujo beat. We have Tamon's B-Side. Tamon's B-Side. This is by the creator of, does it actually say who it's created by? Because I remember it being, it's a series that I'm trying to collect, and I just completely have forgotten the name of the series. But it's created by a creator who's done like another series I really like that I'm starting to try and collect. I'll probably remember it later. About basically this idol who's super cute, super pretty, super cool, and this girl who ends up meeting him. I think he's like, she's housekeeping for him. Yes, part-time as a housekeeper, and she meets him, realizes who he is, but he's completely different than his onstage persona. He's a very depressed, very sad, self-hating person, and then on stage he's just like super bubbly, super happy, and we get to explore that dynamic between the two of them. I don't remember if there's a big age gap in this one or not. Does it actually say she's in high school? They might just not mention anything about the ages, but that might be a bit of an issue to some people. It's not too bad to be in that one. Then we have Rainbow Days Volume 6. It went through a rough patch, but I'm starting to really like this series more, maybe because it's focusing less on the creepy characters and with their weird characteristics. Some of the relationships, I'm really not a fan of them. Really not a fan of the way they're being developed. Like the main girl's closest friend, who seems like, who has a crush on the main girl, but it's also trying to be like, okay, let's push her away from that and make her fall in love with this guy who's a total asshole. I just don't like that character, the one who I'm calling a total asshole. He's the one who's a sadist, I believe. He's either a sadist or a womanizer, one of the two. I don't really like him that much, and I really don't like their relationship, so I don't know what's going to happen with that. Anyways, final shoujo beat, My Love Makes Up Volume 9. This was a great, fairly short shoujo series about a guy who accidentally ends up confessing to another guy due to a miscommunication, and then what happens from there going forward. I don't want to spoil too much. They almost had me with like something I really didn't like in one of these chapters, and then it turned out, okay, never mind, disregard that. I can't explain much because it'll spoil it, but it was a good series. It makes me want to read, I think it's called My Love Story. It's the series about the big guy who looks very goofy and stuff. I don't remember how to describe him, but he turns out to be a super softie, and it's a really cute series from what I've heard. It makes me kind of want to check that out. Anyways, the two Shonen Sunday series I read Komi Volume 27. Still continues to be a great series. Not too much notable about this aside from, spoiler alert, I think this is the volume where they started, playing Among Us, which is glorious. It's dated for sure, but it's still hilarious. Just how into it they went with the references. It's so stupid in the best way. Then we have Free Run Volume 9. The anime's airing right now. It's a huge hit, at least over in the States. It seems to be doing very well on Mal. Of course, that never lasts because it gets number one spot always gets knocked down by Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood eventually. Great series about an elf girl who basically has to continue her life after all of the travelers she adventured with, her party. Basically, most of them end up dying due to old age. Mainly the main lead of the party dies due to old age after they defeat the Demon King, and it's like 20, 50 years later. That's a big age. I think it's like 50, I don't remember. And then it's her going on a new journey. Without spoiling too much, we do have some, let's see. Yeah, I don't want to spoil too much about what happens. It's a great series, though. So, read it, please. Then we have Spy Family Volume 10, featuring a very tragic backstory and a very long backstory that explains why Lloyd is the way he is. Also, a couple, funny chapters that try and take the edge off. I'm not explaining too much about that. Spy Family's been going on long enough that I don't really have to explain it that much, I don't think. Then we have One Piece Volume 104. Yes. Of course, the volume cover is probably a bit of a spoiler. We're wrapping up the Wano arc and getting ready to move on to the next arc. It's One Piece. I don't have to say much about it. I love it always. Then we have My Hero Academia team-up missions. There were some fun missions in this one. I don't remember that much specifics. They definitely have weirder character designs than in the main series. But yeah, this is just a cute, fun series. Not like a lot of depth to the story. It is just a spin-off of My Hero. Then we have Mission Yozakura Family 7. This is a really good volume expounding more on a certain character and what being in this gang is, why she's in this gang, and what it's done to her. It's good. Yozakura seemed like it kind of started more as a gag, and is still a gag, but doing kind of like the Mashal route where it's taking itself more seriously. I think it's doing a pretty decent job of that. The premise for this one's a little too convoluted to try and explain. I guess just quickly, the main character ends up marrying a girl. I think being with a girl who is in a Yakuza family, a Yakuza-esque family, and he basically has to gain powers and strength to be able to fend off anybody who would attack them. I don't really know how to explain that premise very well. Then we have Don Volume 5. We have more development on Mr. Redhead Boy here, and I don't want to talk too much about Don. It's going to spoil a lot if I talk about it. It's good, though. It's fantastic, stupid fun, with like some meaningful character moments in this volume. Definitely give it a shot, especially if you like Chainsaw Man. Then we have Akane Banashi Volume 2. This is still proving to be a really good Rakugo series. Only the second Rakugo series I've really known about. This one's kind of growing more on Akane's first, one of Akane's performances, and how she's learning to broaden her styles to appeal to different demographics and audiences. It's a fun, character growth of Akane so far. Then we have Boys Abyss Volume 3. I actually, surprisingly enough, I think this might have turned me around on how I feel about the series. I'm liking it a lot more with this volume, with some of the plot beats that were put into place. This is another one that's very spoiler heavy to talk too much in detail about. And then we have Mimi's Tales of Terrors. I don't remember being a huge fan of many of the stories in this volume. Let me see which ones there were. Yeah, there were some that had creepy moments, but a lot of them just felt kind of underwhelming. I wasn't really a big fan of it. It does make sense that apparently, I think these were stories adapted into works by Junji Ito with a story about somebody else. The final story, I will say, the longest one, I think it's the longest one, that one was a really good one, and I would definitely recommend that one, but as a whole, Mimi's Tales of Terrors kind of disappointed me. I do feel kind of similarly about the Twix. There were a few good stories, and the rest were kind of meh, but the premise for this is really neat, with having the front half be Japanese creators and the back half being American creators. So it's an interesting collaboration between two completely different types of artists. I think it was a few good and a few bad for both sides. Let me fix that. Then we're going to get into the shorter publishers that I don't have a lot from. Let's start with, let's see. I think one of these slipped in here that I haven't read yet. Let me set this aside. I'm going to start with Ablaze. We have Savage Garden Volume 1. Very interesting premise with a girl basically having to pretend to be a boy in this all-boys dormitory and figuring out what's going on and all the inner workings of this school. and kind of like a exploration on how characters interact with each other. I don't really know how to explain this well. It's been a while since I read it, but I did enjoy it. I remember being a little put off by a few things, but I don't remember the specifics of it. I think it's still worth a read though, and it's not going to be especially long. Then we have from Ablaze the other volume, which is the first volume of Centaurs by Ryo Sumiyoshi, who did um, Our Torso's Align. That's it. Our Torso's Align and Mad K, which I both of those I really liked. I really like Centaurs so far. It's a story about a world where centaurs are basically being hunted down and used by humans to kind of like horses, but horses that can talk back and have emotions and that are being abused by humans. And it's a story of this centaur being separated from his son and trying to make it back to his son and escape from where he is. It's a really good story so far, and I'm super happy about it getting released over here because I've really loved a lot of Sumiyoshi stuff. And I think he's also, I think Sumiyoshi's also, I believe they're a character designer for Monster Hunter, but I can't remember for sure. Then we have Square Enix books. We have Volume 1 of Ice Guy and the Cool Girl. Still not a fan of the name, but the manga is just as cute and pretty and fun as the anime was. He is the descendant of Yuki Onna. She is a normal girl. Whenever he expresses any emotion, he emits coldness from him. So it's kind of like plays a lot of gags on that, and it's the developing relationship between these two, and it's so fun and it's so cute. It's worth a read, even if it's a little expensive for the amount of content there is. I think that's the only Square Enix I read because another one slipped in here that I haven't read but that I got this month. So all the others are just one-offs. So we've got Volume 4 of Usatoki Rhetoric. This is a pretty good mystery series so far. Let's see. Yes, I wasn't a fan of the mystery in this volume and how quickly it wrapped up. It was setting up a decent mystery that it felt like they just snapped and it was over. Everything was solved. I really wasn't a fan of that. I don't know if that was done on purpose or if it was just an artistic choice, or if that's just how they thought the writing should go, but I didn't like it. Then we have Eiji and Shido from Zeros to Heroes, which is an anthology. Not an anthology, it's a collection of stories, which I guess is an anthology. I think a few of them are about Eiji and Shido, who are background characters who only become like noticeable when they have intercourse. So it's really weird and goofy. A lot of fun stories in this one. I did enjoy it a lot. But it's Kuma. I am picking up every Kuma series I can. Then we have Cat Gamer 3. This is a very slow release by Dark Horse about a girl who is a gamer who gets a cat, and that cat helps her kind of become more lively and helps her be happier in her life. It's just cute. It's fun, cute, dumb. References to games, references to cats. Just a fun time. Lastly, for the books that I got this month that I read was that if my favorite pop idol made it to the Budokan, I would die. Still really enjoying this series. It's fun. It does seem like we're developing a relationship between the main idol and the main girl. I don't remember names. But I don't know how long it's going to take before things really develop between the two, or if it's going to be here and there for a while. So lastly, I am going to talk about series that I read this month that I did not pick up this month, things that I'm trying to get caught up on. I only was able to read 2 volumes of Otomen, volume 10 and 11, because I had a lot of releases to read this month. Still enjoying Otomen. This was the arc about people coming to the school to try and stop these characters from being themselves, try and fit them into rigid gender roles, and basically the main character is breaking that and breaking those people in a way that they realize that they were wrong and that they need to be more open to themselves. It's fun. I still love it. Just kind of working through it. Ugh. Then we've got the big mom over here. We've got the last 3 volumes of Oh My Goddess, volumes 4, 5, and 6. It does take a while to read because there's a lot of content, but I am still loving Oh My Goddess. Great rom-com series that's not too over-the-top edgy. It's got some moments, but it's pretty stripped down compared to modern rom-coms and some rom-coms from older times. There's a lot of content in these three volumes, so I don't want to talk too much about it. I would definitely recommend to give this series a shot, though, be it through the anime or not. In the manga, it's weird because at the very beginning, the character designs are so different. Like, it feels like the artists really refined their work as they worked on this series. Then we've got two 7C series. We've got My Androgynous Boyfriend 1 and 2, series about a boy who really likes makeup and fashion, and his girlfriend who's obsessed with him and loves him to death. It's really cute, fun, wholesome series. And it's nice seeing like a character who's so secure in themselves that they're completely straight, but they are fashionable, love makeup, love doing feminine things. It's a really nice take on these type of I guess you would call it a rom-com series, even if they are already together, and it's just kind of showing their relationship. It's only going to be 5 volumes, so it's definitely worth a read. Lastly, we have Tombs by Junji Ito. This contained several of Junji Ito's really, really good works, and I didn't know it did until I read it, and I was like, oh yeah, that one, I love that one. This is probably my favorite Junji Ito work yet. I did really like Black Paradox, but I haven't read too many of Junji Ito's works yet. Only a few. I'm trying to get better with that, but October, I gotta read some spooky stuff. Anyways, I think that's everything for this month. I will see you guys next month. Not sure how the timing's gonna work out, but I will try my hardest to get things up in a fairly timely manner this month. It's just a matter of making time for it, pretty much. Anyways, thanks always for the continued support, and I hope to see everybody next month. Ta-ta.